Far away in the depths of space, on a large and proud alien planet called Zandria, lived a princess named Leora. She was young, strong, and skilled in many things. She had trained in battle, learned the arts of leadership, and carried the honor of her royal family with great pride. The Zandrians were a powerful empire. They believed strongly that their kind was better than many others in the galaxy. Humans especially were seen as simple and weak. Lyra had always followed the rules. But this time, something had gone wrong. The Empire's leaders had given her a direct order to lead a mission to protect their border from an enemy fleet. But Lyra's choices during the mission were different from what the leaders wanted. She acted with mercy instead of destruction. Some thought she had shown weakness. Others said she had disobeyed orders. The Empire did not forgive such acts easily. They believed strength and strict rules kept the Empire safe. Because of Lyra's actions, the Council of Elders gathered in the Great Hall of Zandria's capital city. The hall was large with tall silver pillars that gleamed in the light. Old elders in long robes sat in high seats, their faces stern and cold. Princess Leora. The head elder spoke in a voice that echoed through the room. Your actions have brought shame upon your house and the Empire. Mercy is a weakness we cannot allow. For this you must be punished. Leora stood tall, though inside her heart beat with fear. She waited for the sentence. It was then that the council spoke the punishment that shocked everyone. You will marry a human, said the elder. You will leave Zandria and live among them. The room fell silent. Lyra's eyes widened in disbelief. Humans were known in the Empire as primitive, weak, and untrustworthy. To marry a human was a dishonor, a punishment worse than exile or imprisonment. She had heard stories of human small, soft creatures with no power or technology compared to the Empire's might. For her to join with one was unthinkable. Why? Lyra finally asked, her voice shaking. Why this punishment? "'Cause," the elder answered, "you must learn humility. You will live with one of their kind, and serve as a reminder that no one is above the Empire's laws. You will marry and stay on Earth." Leora felt anger and sadness rise inside her. She was a princess, a warrior, and a leader. Now she was to be a prisoner in a strange world, tied to a species she did not respect. Soon a ship arrived to take Lyra away from her home. She was given a small escort, and her belongings were packed quickly. Her mind raced with thoughts of what awaited her. How could she live with a human? What would her family think? What would the people of Zandria say when they heard of her punishment? Meanwhile, on a small blue planet called Earth, a man named David lived a quiet life. He was a teacher, gentle and kind, who loved his work and his friends. David had no idea that soon his life would change forever. The Empire had chosen David to marry the alien princess. They thought he was the perfect human, strong in spirit, loyal, and with a good heart. David was told nothing at first, only that he would meet someone important soon and must prepare to welcome her. When Lyra's ship landed on Earth, it was hidden from most people. She stepped out into a new world, strange and full of colors, sounds, and smells she had never known. The air was different, the sky brighter. She wore her royal robes, but felt like a stranger here. David waited nervously nearby. He had heard stories of aliens, but never believed he would meet one, especially a princess. When Lyra appeared, he saw her proud stance and sharp eyes. She looked strong but tired, as if carrying the weight of many worlds. Their first meeting was quiet but tense. Lyra did not speak much at first, her pride wounded by the punishment. David tried to be polite, offering a small smile and simple words. "Welcome to Earth, Princess." She looked at him, her eyes hard. "I did not come here by choice," she said. "This is my punishment." David nodded, understanding a little of her pain. "I do not know much about your world, but I hope we can find a way to live together peacefully." Lyra did not answer, but inside a small part of her curiosity stirred. This human was kind, not like the cold leaders of her empire. Maybe, just maybe, this was not the end, but a new beginning. Over the next days, Lyra was introduced to Earth's ways. She saw simple homes, people working hard, laughing children, and a world full of life. It was very different from the cold halls of Xandria, but it had its own beauty. Still, Lyra struggled with her anger. She felt trapped and alone. David tried to help, sharing stories of Earth, showing her kindness without asking for much in return. Slowly Lyra's heart softened, though she would never admit it out loud. Her royal guard was still with her, watching carefully for any sign of rebellion. Lyra knew she was being watched, not trusted. But she also knew she had to survive. This strange punishment could become a prison, or something else entirely. One evening, as the sun set behind the trees, David and Lyra stood outside a small house. The sky was painted with soft pink and orange colors. For the first time, Lyra spoke quietly. "Why do you help me?" she asked. David smiled softly, "Because I believe everyone deserves kindness. Even when things are hard." Lyra looked away, unsure of what to feel. No one had ever spoken to her like this, not even her family. The days went on, each one a new challenge for Lyra. She missed her home but found strange comfort in Earth's simple joys. She trained herself to be patient, to watch, to learn. And somewhere deep inside, a small hope began to grow. The story of the alien princess and the human was only beginning. Both were trapped in a fate decided by others, but what they chose next could change everything for them and for their worlds. After the first meeting, Lyra and David began the slow process of learning to live together. At first it was not easy. Lyra's pride and anger at her punishment made her distant and cold. David, on the other hand, was patient and kind, trying to bridge the gap between their very different worlds. Lyra found everything on Earth strange. The small houses, the sounds of cars, the busy streets, and the simple meals. She missed the grand halls of Xandria, the polished floors, and the disciplined soldiers who followed her commands. Here she felt small and powerless. David wanted to help her feel at home, but he was careful not to push too hard. He showed her the small things, how to make tea, how to use a phone, how to enjoy a walk in the park. Lyra watched him quietly, sometimes annoyed by his calm and gentle ways. "Why? Do you not get angry?" she asked one day, watching David calmly fix a broken chair. "Anger does not help," David said with a small smile. "It only makes things harder." Lyra shook her head. "On Xandria, anger is strength." "Maybe, but here, kindness is." "Strength too," David replied. Their conversations were often difficult. Lyra spoke in short, sharp sentences, while David tried to listen and understand. Their cultures were so different that even simple words sometimes caused confusion. One day, Lyra asked David about his family. She wanted to know more about this human she was forced to marry. "I have a small family," David said. "My mother lives nearby. My sister is married and has children. We are close." Lyra nodded slowly. "Family is important to me too." David smiled. "Then maybe we can be a family too." Lyra looked away, not sure how to respond. "I had never thought about a family with a human before." Outside their small home, the world was busy and loud. Some people knew about Lyra's presence but chose to ignore it. Others were curious and watched quietly. David's friends came by to meet her, trying to make her feel welcome, but Lyra kept her distance. One evening, a visitor arrived unexpectedly. An agent from Xandria came to Earth, sent by the Empire to watch Lyra closely. His name was Corin, a tall and serious man who knew the Empire's laws well. Corin's arrival made Lyra nervous. She had hoped to find some freedom here, but now she felt like a prisoner again. Corin was strict and watched her every move. He reported everything back to the Empire. David met Corin once and sensed the tension between the two aliens. He wanted to help Lyra, but did not know how to challenge the Empire's power. "We must be careful." Corin warned Lyra one night. "Any sign of rebellion will bring worse punishment." Lyra's anger flared again. "I am not a prisoner. Yet you are bound by the Empire's orders," Corin said. "Remember, your marriage is a symbol for them." Despite Corin's watchful eyes, Lyra and David found moments to talk and share. David told her stories of Earth's history, its people, and their dreams. Lyra shared tales of her home, its beauty, and its harsh rules. Slowly, their respect for each other grew. Lyra admired David's patience and kindness, and David respected Lyra's strength and courage, but it was not only their own feelings they had to face. News came from space that the Empire was growing restless. Some leaders wanted to punish Lyra more harshly. Others whispered about breaking the peace between Earth and Exandra. David learned that his life and Lyra's were in danger. The marriage was not only a punishment but also a political tool. Enemies from both worlds could try to use it to start a war. One day, while walking in a quiet park, Lyra and David saw strange ships appear in the sky. They were scouts from the Empire, coming to check on Lyra and Earth's reaction. Lyra's heart pounded. They watch us closely. David took her hand. We must stand together. In that moment, Lyra realized that this strange human who she had once thought weak could be her strongest ally. They were tied not only by marriage but by the need to survive. She looked at David and said quietly, "Maybe this punishment is not the end for me." David smiled.
"Maybe it is the beginning."
Their uneasy alliance was growing stronger, built on trust and shared hope. They knew the road ahead would be difficult, full of challenges from both their worlds. But now they faced it together. As days passed, Lyra and David's bond grew quietly, but outside their small world, trouble was brewing. Both on Earth and in the distant empire of Xandria, forces moved to challenge their strange marriage. In Xandria, some powerful leaders saw Lyra's punishment as weak and dangerous. They believed that sending a princess to marry a human was a mistake. To them, humans were a threat to the Empire's honor. They wanted Lyra punished more harshly, or even removed completely. Meanwhile, on Earth, a secret group called the Sentinel Alliance heard rumors about the alien princess living among humans. They feared that Lyra's presence might bring war or worse. They began planning to capture or remove her. Believing this would protect humanity, David and Lyra learned of these threats through small warnings, messages from friends, strange movements near their home, and coded signals on David's work devices. One night, while David was checking the perimeter of their house, he saw shadows moving in the darkness. He quickly alerted Lyra, and they prepared for danger. "They are coming," David whispered. "We must be ready." Lyra's eyes hardened. "I will not let them take me away." The attackers arrived silently, armed with high-tech weapons designed to capture without killing. David and Lyra worked together. Combining his knowledge of Earth's terrain with her training in combat, they moved through the trees, avoiding traps, and using quick, smart attacks to stop the intruders. Lyra's warrior skills surprised David, and he admired her strength and courage. After the fight, he found clues pointing to a larger plan. Someone wanted to use their marriage to start a war between Earth and Xandria. The idea was to make both worlds fear and hate each other, leading to conflict. This discovery shocked Lyra. She realized that her punishment was more than personal. It was a dangerous game played by powerful leaders on both sides. "We cannot let them win," Lyra said. "We must find who is behind this." David nodded. "But how?" "We are just two people." They decided to gather allies quietly. David reached out to trusted friends on Earth who believed in peace, while Lyra contacted a few loyalists within Xandria who hoped for change. Their small group began sharing information, uncovering secrets about the Empire's politics and the fears of Earth's leaders. One ally was a young Xandrian named Selin, who secretly admired Lyra's bravery. She helped Lyra understand the complex power struggles in the Empire. Another was a human scientist named Maria, who studied alien technology and wanted to protect Earth from war together. They worked to stop the plans for conflict, but it was not easy. Spies watched them, and every move was dangerous. One day a message arrived from the Empire. It warned Lyra to stop her actions or face exile in a distant, cold planet with no hope of return. David held Lyra's hand tightly. "They want to scare you." Lyra looked determined. "I will not run. I will fight for us." Their courage inspired their small team. They planned to send proof of the conspiracies to leaders on both Earth and Xandria, hoping to stop the war before it began. But as they prepared, the enemy struck again. This time, they attacked the place where Leora and David met secretly with their allies. The battle was fierce. David and Leora fought side by side, protecting their friends and standing against the attackers. In the heat of the fight, Leora saw David get hurt. She rushed to him, fear rising in her chest. "David!" she cried. Holding his arm, he smiled weakly. I'm okay, thanks to you." This moment showed Leora how much David meant to her. She realized that this human was not just her punishment, but her partner in every way. After the fight, they managed to send the evidence to the leaders. The message was clear. There were those who wanted war, but there were also those who wanted peace. The Empire's council called an emergency meeting. On Earth, leaders prepared for the worst, but hoped for a chance at dialogue. Laira, and David waited anxiously, knowing that their future and the future of their worlds hung in the balance. Despite the dangers, their bond was stronger than ever. They faced the threats together, not as enemies or prisoners, but as partners with a shared hope for peace. Their story was no longer just about punishment or duty, it was about courage, trust, and the fight for a better future. After the emergency meeting between Earth leaders and the Xandrian Council, things began to change slowly. The proof that Leora and David sent showed the dangers of war and the lies spread by those who wanted conflict. Some leaders on both sides began to listen, hoping for peace instead of battle. For Leora, this was a time of change inside herself as well. Living on Earth with David, she started to see the world through new eyes. What once seemed strange and small now showed signs of beauty and strength. Each day, David shared more of Earth's simple joys with her. They walked through parks where children played and laughed without worry. They watched sunsets that painted the sky in soft colors. They listened to music that told stories of hope and love. Lair learned to appreciate these moments. She remembered the cold halls of Xandria, where rules and power ruled everything. Here she felt warmth she had never known. One afternoon, David took Lyra to a small garden near his home. Flowers of many colors bloomed, and bees buzzed gently among them. "On Xandria," Lyra said quietly. "We do not have places like this. Everything is built for strength and order. Beauty is often forgotten." David smiled. "Sometimes beauty is in the small things. We find hope in simple moments." Lyra nodded, feeling a new respect for this human and his world. At the same time, Lyra and David's relationship grew deeper. They shared stories of their childhoods, their dreams, and their fears. Lyra spoke of the heavy burden of being a princess, expected to always be perfect and strong. David shared his wish for a peaceful world where people could live without fear. They also faced challenges together. Leora struggled with memories of her family and the empire that still judged her. David tried to comfort her, reminding her that she was not alone. Their trust grew as they faced these hardships side by side. They learned to listen, to understand without judgment, to support one another outside their personal world. Their small group of allies worked quietly to spread the message of peace. Selen, the loyal Xandrian, helped bridge the gap between the Empire's leaders and Earth's diplomats. Maria, the human scientist, used her knowledge to protect the planet from dangers hidden in the stars. Laura sometimes visited secret meetings, speaking with leaders who were willing to change. Her words carried weight because she was both a princess and a symbol of hope. One evening, as Lyra and David watched the stars from a hill, she said softly, "I never imagined my punishment would bring me here. But now I see that this world is full of unexpected joy." David took her hand. "And I never thought I would share it with an alien princess." They laughed gently, the sound full of warmth. However, not all was calm. Whispers of war still echoed in hidden halls, and some leaders refused to give up their plans. Lyra knew their fight for peace was only beginning. Now, not just as a princess, but as someone who had found new meaning in life. The alien princess who was once ordered to marry a human as punishment was discovering joy in the most unexpected place, a partnership built on trust, hope, and love. After months of quiet hope and careful planning, Leora felt a new fire growing inside her. The punishment that once felt like a cage was now becoming a path to freedom, not just for herself, but for both her world and David's Earth. The Empire was still watching her closely, sending warnings and reminders that she must obey. But Lara's heart was no longer ruled by fear. With David's support, she began to stand up against the old rules and broken promises of the Council. One day, at a secret meeting with her closest allies, Leora made a bold decision. She would speak openly to both the Xandrian Council and the leaders of Earth. She would tell them the truth about the dangers of war and the strength found in unity. "We cannot live divided," Leora said, her voice steady. "The Empire's pride will destroy us if we do not change. I choose to fight not as a punished princess, but as a voice for peace." David stood beside her, proud and strong. "We will face this together." Their message spread quickly, stirring hope in many hearts but anger in others. Some elders in the Empire called Leora a traitor, a threat to their power. On Earth, some groups saw her as an alien spy, not to be trusted. But Leora refused to be silent. She traveled to the capital of Xandria, walking into the great hall with David by her side. The council elders watched her carefully, waiting for signs of weakness. "I am not here to ask for mercy," Leora said clearly. "I am here to show you a future where we are stronger together, not enemies." She shared stories of her time on Earth, the kindness she had seen, and the courage of David and his people. Her words were new and different from the usual pride and power spoken in the halls. Some elders listened. Others stayed cold and hard. But a few nodded slowly, seeing the truth in Leora's words. Meanwhile on Earth, leaders opened channels of communication with the Xandrians. They agreed to work toward peace, sharing technology and knowledge. Laira and David's marriage. Once a punishment became a symbol of hope and unity. But change was never easy. Hidden enemies tried to stop them. An attempt was made to kidnap Leora during one of her visits to the city. David and their allies acted quickly, saving her before harm could come. These dangers reminded them how much was at stake yet. Through it all, Leora found joy she had never expected. She laughed with David during quiet evenings, shared meals with friends from both worlds, and dreamed of a future free from fear. Her heart had rebelled against the limits placed on her by birth and punishment. She was no longer a princess, forced into a marriage. She was a partner, a leader, and a symbol of hope. One night, as they stood together watching the stars, David took Lara's hand and said, "You have changed more than just your fate. You have changed the fate of two worlds." Leora smiled, her eyes bright. "And I could not have done it without you." The rebellion of her heart had led to a new beginning, full of unexpected joy and endless possibilities. The months of struggle and hope had finally brought change. Leora and David stood together not only as partners, but as symbols of a new era between their worlds. What had started as punishment had become something far greater. After the rebellion of the heart and the bold speeches in the Great Hall, many in the Xandrian Empire began to accept the possibility of peace. The council slowly opened its doors to new ideas. Old fears and hatred did not vanish overnight, but the first steps were taken. On Earth, leaders worked hard to build trust. They sent diplomats and scientists to Xandria. Humans and Xandrians learned to share knowledge, culture, and stories. A new friendship was growing, fragile but real. Lara found herself in a place she had never expected to be, not just as a princess or a symbol, but as a person with a new life and new joy. One morning, David woke her gently. The sun streamed through the window of their small home, lighting her face. "Today," David said softly, "is a special day." Leora smiled, curious. "Why?" "Because today, we start something new. The Empire has agreed to official peace talks, and Earth is ready. They want to build a future together." Lyra sat up, feeling a warmth in her heart. This was more than she had hoped for. The days that followed were busy with meetings, preparations, and celebrations. Lyra and David traveled together, visiting leaders and speaking to crowds. Their marriage, once a symbol of punishment, was now celebrated as a bridge between two very different worlds. People from both sides began to understand each other better. Lyra shared stories of Xandrian culture and her own journey. David spoke about Earth's struggles and hopes. In quiet moments, away from the crowds, Liara and David talked about their journey. They remembered how their strange marriage had started. With anger and fear, but grew into trust and love. "I never imagined," Lyra said one evening, "that being punished would bring me such happiness." David smiled and took her hand. Sometimes life's hardest moments lead us to where we truly belong. Their joy was simple, but deep. They shared quiet dinners, walked under the stars, and dreamed of a peaceful future. Lyra also found joy in small things: a child's laughter in the park, flower blooming in the garden, a kind word from a stranger. These moments showed her that life was more than power and duty. The Empire and Earth signed the peace agreement. It marked the end of old fears and the beginning of cooperation. Trade routes opened, cultural exchanges began, new friendships formed. Lyra's family, once angry and distant, slowly accepted her new path. Some came to Earth to see for themselves the life she had built. At the great peace ceremony, Lyra stood beside David, proud and strong. She spoke to the crowd, her voice steady and full of hope. "We are proof that even the hardest punishments can lead to unexpected joy. When we open our hearts and minds, we find strength in each other." The audience cheered, many wiping tears from their eyes, as the ceremony ended. David whispered to Lyra, "This is only the beginning." She nodded, her eyes shining. "And I am ready for whatever comes next." Their story, born from punishment, had transformed into a powerful tale of courage, love, and hope. The alien princess and the human had found something rare and precious: expected joy together. They faced a future where two worlds could grow stronger, not apart, but united.